Welcome to the Pixelated Porch Podcast. My name is Ricky, and I'm joined with fellow friendly nerds Chris and Mike. Today on the porch, we're going to be recapping the greatest year ever, 2020. Now, obviously, it's had its downs, but today on the porch, we thought we'd recap our favorite ups, including games, movies, life achievements, and thought it'd be fun to share our top 3 Spotify songs from this year. So we all hope you have a very happy new year in 2021. Can't be much worse than this year, hopefully. So, a few weeks ago, we talked about our favorite movies and TV shows of all time, but what about movies or TV shows from this year? Mike?
Well, I would have to say that I don't think I really honestly watched a lot of movies because unfortunately, movie theaters were closed for the majority of this year, and I'm not really much of a movie theater goer. But I spent a lot of time on Netflix when I wasn't doing anything productive. So for my favorite TV shows, at least, I really enjoyed Rust Valley Restorers, which was a Canadian mechanic that restores old classic cars. He's got like old junkyards and whatnot, and he restores cars and sells them to individuals and takes them to car shows and all that fun stuff. And it's absolutely hilarious how the lead mechanic, and for some reason, unfortunately, I'm spacing on his name, interacts with his other mechanic, which I believe his name is Mike, and it's actually rather kind of fun and really cool on how they do that. But I really enjoyed Rust Valley Restorers, and if you guys haven't seen Haunting on Bly Manor, the same people that did Haunting on Hill House, Haunting on Bly Manor, it wasn't a scary but more of a psychological thriller, at least for me, type of TV show that we watched. And of course, something that I'm rewatching is the Peaky Blinders, that of course you can find on Netflix, but the Peaky Blinders deals with the selling and buying of I guess it wasn't selling and buying, they adapt through times. It's set in old England during, I think, just right after World War One, and a whole bunch of gangsters and basically mobsters that run certain sections of England and basically trying to overthrow and take over power throughout the sections in England. So that'd be London, that'd be Manchester, that'd be all over the United Kingdom. And so it's really fun. I can't, honestly, right now I'm just blanking on the time frame that it's set in. And honestly, I just watched it the other day too, and I can't really tell you about the show. But it's really awesome. Lots of shooting, lots of crime, and it's just set in an older time. So it's really fun. So those are at least the 3 TV shows that I have found most memorable about 2020, and really, really enjoyed. Chris, what about yourself, man?
So as we found out a couple weeks ago, I really don't watch a whole lot of movies or anything like that. So when I started thinking about what media I watched this year that kind of stuck out with me, it was all YouTube stuff. There's a couple YouTube channels that I absolutely love, that I like sticking to. The first one that I'll mention, just because I've talked about it before, is In a Nutshell. Their videos are fantastic. If I'm ever in that like curious state where I want to learn something, I always go check out their videos because there's lots of information. Every time I watch their videos, I'll go off and do research on the topic myself. But the other one, just my dumb turn on when I don't really feel like paying attention, is a YouTube channel called Mighty Car Mods, which is an Australian show of these 2 guys who are not mechanics being mechanics. And they're 2 best friends. They're good and they're bad at modifying cars. They're just a lot of fun to watch because they're such good friends, and like they get on each other's nerves, and then they buy these old shitty cars that don't work, and then they have to make them work, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff. But that is actually where I got the idea for getting the mini truck, so the Daihatsu Hijet. So got that from them. But yeah, if I was going to think about 2020, yeah, definitely Mighty Car Mods and In a Nutshell were for me.
Now, well, real quick. Now, are these guys, when they're doing the YouTube videos, are they like, let's buy the cheapest, shittiest thing off of eBay and let's put it on our car type of people because it was a good idea, or it's, what they think is the best thing, or what?
Both. So they are they are aware of like, so their whole thing is like budget car repairs and like modifications and stuff, and they do have a couple episodes where they're like, we bought the cheapest turbo on eBay. Let's see if it blows up our car, that kind of stuff. And they're Australian, so they've got like their own little weird quirks that are just strange to Americans and stuff. But yeah, sometimes they'll do that, and then sometimes they'll actually drop like one of the guys puts a VTEC from a Honda Civic Type R into a classic Mini.
All right.
So, like they'll throw some serious money at their vehicles, but then sometimes they just do just the dumbest stuff that they can imagine to vehicles. So they're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, when I hear you guys talk about cars, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, because I've never been much of a car guy, and even like growing up with my dad, he's a big, big into cars too, and all I hear is just numbers and dots and words. Oh yeah, it's got the V2 dot 25 8 hydroxylite. It's pretty that thing will go a quarter mile 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds flat. It's crazy.
With 0.8 boost, with a supercharger and a turbo.
Oh,
could you imagine running a quarter mile in 2 seconds?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he can. Tesla.
My dad could tell the difference between cars just by looking at the headlights. Like, oh yeah, that's a 64. Yeah, no question.
I'm just saying the headlights are the only thing that matter on a car. When I look at buying a car, I look at the headlights, and if I don't like how the headlights look on that car, I'm like, fuck that car. It's a stupid car. It looks ugly.
Yeah, I used to always think they look like, I could see like certain actors' faces in different cars. Like I know the older Ford Rangers, for whatever reason, I see that guy, Mr. Kirby from Jurassic Park 3 for whatever reason. I always think of him when I see those Ford Rangers.
At least I'm not the only one, because I've always looked at cars and I look at the headlights and I look at the front bumper and I can always see a face. And then of course Disney made that Cars movie, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like they
that didn't make it any better.
Yeah, Oh,
you're not helping my condition, Disney.
Thanks, Disney, for ruining yet another thing.
So for me, I've watched like tons of movies this year, but honestly, I can't remember not even half of them. But I can tell you 2 movies specifically that stood out to me. One of which was Tenet. I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan. I love pretty much all of his movies. They're just, the way that he does filmmaking is really interesting. And whenever you go and actually watch YouTube videos of like his thought process, and like interviews on YouTube of like his thought process of how he comes up with his stories, and the cinematography and stuff that he does, like a lot of his movies, he loves to do things like basically just the most minimal amount of CG possible is how he likes to do his movies. So when you're seeing all these like action stuff on the screen, like it's actually happening, which makes it that much better knowing that.
That's extremely abnormal for these days too, because so many movies are nothing but CGI.
But the movies are so much better for that, though. I mean, I think like the Tom Cruise movies, what are they, like the Mission Impossible? That's another thing too. Like I feel like those movies, just knowing that he does all of his stunts and it's all real, makes it much better. I think that just movies in general, just knowing, I find it really interesting to go and and actually see how they made them, and then I appreciate the movies a lot more for that. So, but Christopher Nolan came out with a movie this year called Tenet, which I honestly, I've never been more confused with a movie in my entire life than I have with this one. And Christopher Nolan has made some confusing ass movies. He did Inception for one, and he also did a movie called Memento, which is a total mindfuck.
So wait, this movie is more confusing than Inception, though?
Yes. Oh, yeah,
I found
absolutely.
Inception to be a complete mindfuck.
Oh yeah, this makes Inception look like a little baby toy. So the whole premise of the movie is you have this guy. He doesn't even have a name, but it's played by Denzel Washington's son, John David Washington, which apparently he was an NFL player too. I had no idea.
Didn't know that.
So he just plays a guy called the protagonist. He doesn't even have a name in the movie, just simply the protagonist. So they basically they uncover this terrorist plot where they're sending weapons and people backwards through time while we are simultaneously moving forward in time. And it's them interacting with things going forward and backwards in time. So you'll see like gunfights where they're shooting at each other, but half the bullets are coming back into the gun and loading back into the chamber. And then cars are going in reverse and then flipping up, and then they're driving in reverse and they're shooting at each other. But then you go through the movie, and then at a certain point, it turns back around. So from your perspective, you are going forward through time, but in actuality, you're going backwards. So everything that happened in the movie before is now in reverse.
You explaining this movie to me right now just feels like he was super, super baked. And he was just like...
It is insane the amount of detail that had to go into thinking about how this movie would work.
That sounds... I mean, it kind of really intrigues me. You said it's called Tenet, though?
It's called Tenet. Tenet. Yeah. It's supposed to be coming out to digital here soon. But what really made... I mean, one, it was a very interesting movie. I hesitate to say that it's sucked, but the only reason that comes to mind is just I just totally did not understand what the hell I just watched. But I feel like the more I watch it, the more I'm going to appreciate it, because there were moments where I'm like, oh dude, that's actually really cool. I don't know what it means, but that's pretty cool. So, and then, you know, in the back of my mind thinking, you know, like this is like minimalistic CG, all this stuff is actually happening, which I'm sure like they didn't fire bullets, and they probably shot guns and then just reversed the footage. But even with that, like how the hell do you edit all that together and make it look like that and make it all work seamlessly? It's ridiculous. Like there's a plane crash, like they roll a plane into a hangar building to cause a distraction, and you see it going forward in time, and then again you see it going backwards in time, and it's just like what the hell is this movie?
My brain.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, not only is the movie great, but it was actually pretty much the only movie that I saw in theaters this year. And this was, of course, after the whole pandemic broke out. But it was me and my girlfriend Amanda were literally the only two people in the entire theater, which was kind of a surreal experience. And pretty sure we should not have done that. I actually felt I was like, man, we should not have done this. We shouldn't have did this, man. So, but yeah, I can't wait to watch it again so I can pick up all the details that I missed on the first time. And it's definitely going to take a lot of watches to pick everything up, which is cool. I like movies like that. So the second movie for me in 2020 that really stood out to me was actually I watched a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies. They released a big portion of their movies on HBO Max. So naturally I did the free trial, watched them, and then booked out of there. So, but one of the ones that I'd never actually seen before, but I've heard a lot of good things on all the YouTube videos that you see, like top 10 anime movies of all time. This one is always on there, and that is Princess Mononoke. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie or not, but it's one of the more adult, or it's more mature than the rest of the Ghibli films. I know I talked about, what did I watch just the other day? What, damn it.
Something Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah.
It's not quite to that extent. It's more of like a fantasy adventure, but there's some surprisingly adult things in this movie, and there was some gore in some parts of it where I was like, oh damn, I was not expecting that dude's head to fly off, but okay, that was kind of cool.
Now, what do you mean by adult though?
So there is a village of women who pretty much support their workers by pretty much being prostitutes. It's not shown specifically, but it's strongly hinted at that that's what they do. And then the gore as well, like the violence that was in the movie. I was not expecting that. Just from the art style, you think it's a really kind of cutesy kids film, but you know, if I had like a little kid that was wanting to watch it, I'd be like, maybe
so it's not necessarily like a rated X anime type of thing.
No.
It's a very strongly suggested, like, this is what goes on here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are it's like PG-13, I would say. But I guess just the art style itself is like...
Adult Swim.
I was not expecting that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, fantastic movie. I mean, I can't recommend Ghibli enough. But that was definitely my favorite one of all of them that I watched by far. So some TV shows that I watched for the first time this year. Chris, you were recommending to me, and really a lot of people have been recommending is Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
I've tried watching this show multiple times throughout the years, and I'll get about 2 episodes in, and there's one specifically that I remember where it takes place in like a casino in space, and I'm like, man, this is just so slow and boring.
Episode 2 is the one that you're talking about.
The one in yeah. So
Yeah.
didn't make it very far, but I watched it. I was like, all right, there's got to be something to this. Like, so many people love this show so much. And I watched it down, and I definitely found an appreciation for it. It's fantastic animation. The story was, I mean, not quite what I would want it to be. Like, it's how do I say it? There are some episodes that tie in with the overarching story, but I would say probably about 80 to 85%, if not more of it, is just random adventures that happen. Yeah. So I would have liked to see a more
almost like filler type of stuff, or
I mean, I guess you could say that technically, but it's really good filler.
Okay.
Like fantastically animated filler. I guess,
not floating on a
the best
rainbow
way.
cloud for 30 episodes.
No, so
filler.
the whole premise of the show is they're space like bounty hunters is pretty much what they do. So, but there's periodically you'll have like flashbacks of things that happen to the main character, or I guess really all of the characters, but there'll be certain episodes where like you'll see things from their past, and it's like, oh yeah, that was kind of cool. Like they really flesh out the characters. But then once they do that, there's not really, I don't know, it really kind of seems to be the tail end of that story. They don't really do anything with them after that. But Spike, the main character, has a story that kind of is really what holds everybody together. And I just would have liked to see more of it. There was, for as much as that show was on, there was like maybe 3 episodes dedicated to that, 3 or 4.
Yeah, there was very few episodes dedicated to Spike's past. Where it didn't really go into detail. I mean, the last like episode or 2 wraps up Spike's story, which was nice. But typically when I go back and rewatch that series, I don't watch the last episode because I like the idea. Cowboy Bebop is like, it's like dealing with adult life. Like there's lots of broken pieces everywhere, but like you still go throughout the day and you still, have adventures and things like that. Like that's just like the vibe you get from Cowboy Bebop. If you're not drinking it like with a glass of whiskey, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
it's not one of those shows you watch to feel good about. It's just kind of things
I would agree
suck.
with that. I would agree with that. It's definitely just a sit back and just enjoy the medium of animation. Like it's just a testament, I guess you could say, of like the skill that these people do for hand drawn animation. It's really, really crazy how good that it looks. I remember there's one shot specifically that I always have in my mind when they bring the ship and they land it in the water, and how all that ocean water just sprays up.
Yeah.
Like, man, that is some good looking art.
I've never seen it, honestly. Yeah.
It's good. It is probably one of my favorite animes of all time just to put on and watch. Yeah, it's not one of those ones like you put on to like watch it for the action adventure. You're just experiencing it, it's like you're just kind of there observing it, which is nice.
And I think that's what turned me off to it initially, is because I'm coming from a world where, as we discussed on one of our previous episodes, where Dragon Ball Z is like one of my favorite show of all time, and that is like, it doesn't get more actiony than DBZ. Like it just simply can't be topped. So going from that to just the chill kind of film noir kind of vibe of Cowboy Bebop, it's like, so when is, I don't know, anything gonna happen? So, but once I kind of got conditioned that that's the vibe that the show is going for, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. This is cool. Cowboy Bebop.
Yep.
So my last TV show that I got into this year is one called Primal. So my brother actually turned me on to this show. He recommended it to me. It was actually from the creator of Samurai Jack, Genndy Tartakovsky. It's either Genndy or Genndy, one of the two. He's got one of those weird names. And Samurai Jack was one of my favorite TV shows growing up, and they actually brought it back from Adult Swim to actually wrap up the series. So they kind of made it a more mature version of that show. And this is kind of a spiritual successor to a more mature version of Samurai Jack. So the whole premise of the show is it's actually about it takes place in like prehistoric times or primal times, and it is a caveman and a dinosaur. I think he's a T-Rex. Doesn't really specifically say, but I think he's a T-Rex. But the first episode, kind of spoiler warning here, but the first episode, both of their families have some pretty tragic endings, but they end up, from that, they're able to forge a very uncommon friendship where a caveman and a T-Rex basically team up and are like best friends. And it's basically the whole show is them surviving in the prehistoric times, like fighting, whether it's like giant pterodactyls or like colts in the forest, or just like all the different wildlife that can, I don't know, ruin your entire life in an instant. But one of the coolest things about that show is there is zero dialogue. There is no speaking whatsoever. There's like caveman grunts, or like the T-Rex will like kind of growl or yell. But based up from that and like their facial expressions and the music that the show has, like you can fully understand what is going on and understand what the story is. And I thought that was so interesting. It kind of clicked. I was like, they have not said a word in like, it was like the fourth episode where it kind of clicked. I was like, they have not said a word this entire time. And sure enough, that is one of the staples of the show.
Yeah, you have to say that must be a really, really well written show, especially if it took you to the fourth episode to realize like, oh, they're not actually saying anything. There's actually no dialogue in this, but I understood it. And then, so I think you were recommending it back in October. Because when you said Primal, I was just like, I know somebody was talking to me about that show and was telling me, like, Mike, you need to watch that. It's a really good show, and I think it was.
Oh
you.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was in Savannah.
Yeah, because when you said it, I was like, wait, that sounds familiar. Somebody was just telling me about that game.
Who was it?
The music is really what does it on that show, in my opinion. Like, it's like you hear people say it all the time that like music puts you in a certain emotional state or like a certain mood, and like they get it right in that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's on a subconscious level. Like you don't even really realize that it's happening until you kind of take yourself out and you kind of analyze how the show is being made. Like that's the cool thing about music. It's very kind of subtle. You don't even realize it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was mine. Tenet, Princess Mononoke, Cowboy Bebop, and Primal. Was that everybody? I think we did everybody, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Those sound really good the way you described them and everything. I'm gonna have to definitely check those out, at least Primal. So.
Oh yeah. All right, fellas. So that was our movies and TV shows of 2020. So let's get into some video games.
Video games.
Do you guys have any games that stood out to you or that you played this year? I guess we'll start with you, Mike.
Well, we've been harping on it since our first podcast. Or at least I have been harping on it since our first podcast. And my top 3 games so far this year have been one, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've been playing that nonstop. That it made it pretty much at least I believe it made it to number 3 on my list of top played games this year. And for those of you who have been walking through us throughout these podcasts that we have, you guys know everything about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But so I won't go too much in depth about it. But absolutely, I love a really good game so far, being a battling naval battles and killing mercenaries and assassinating people and working through that whole entire story mode on it. It's very, very good. I absolutely love it. Highly, highly recommend it. Have not played Valhalla yet, but I've heard really good things about that too. But my number 1 game that I've played the most this year has been Fallout 76. I've put so many hours into that game this year.
sir.
And that's definitely a game I'm gonna be playing this weekend and throughout next week. But yeah, Fallout 76. I've got my build right now, which I am just a stealth archer, so I can be completely invisible at any time that I'm crouching and moving around with my. I think I have that. I can't remember what it is. It's a suit that you can get through one of the
stealth
missions.
armor.
Thank you, Chinese stealth armor. Yep. So I rock
Back
that
from
Chinese
Fallout
stealth
3.
armor, and I just crawl around, and then I've got all my perks just basically enhancing my explosive, and I've got explosive arrows. So pretty much, I can almost one hit most enemies with my explosive arrows and with my sneak damage. So I pretty much do that. I really kind of wanted to do like a bounty hunter build, which is what I initially started at, but with me being like 100. And I think I'm 110, if not a little bit higher now. I've been playing around with rearranging my perks and my perk points to really just have a stealth explosive build. So I've been really rocking that and playing through it. And right now I'm working on that whole entire Steel Dawn update that they just released a few weeks ago, or however long ago it was. So I'm still slowly working on that. But I absolutely love the Fallout universe, and the I just absolutely love it. There's everything. I mean, my whole entire den is laid out in Fallout. I've got Fallout lithographs and bobbleheads and figures and whatnot, and I've got that mid-century 1960s style, and I absolutely love it. So that's been my number one game that I've been playing so much through 2020, and my number two game has been Call of Duty Modern Warfare, of course the remastered that released in 2019. I haven't really played too much of Warzone. I'm not a big fan of that whole entire player versus everyone.
The battle royale type games.
Yeah, I just I tried Fallout, and we all know how much Fallout sucks. Sorry, not Fallout. Fortnite. I've tried Fortnite. And yeah, Fallout sucks, even though I've played it so much. It sucks so much. No, Fortnite. I'm just, and PUBG and Apex. I do enjoy Apex, but I'm just not a player versus everyone player. You can spend 30 minutes and you can make it to like the top 3, the top 10, whatever. And then you're playing with the big boys who grind that game nonstop, and next thing you know, they pop out and shoot you in the face with a pistol, and you're dead. And you're like, sweet, I just wasted 30 minutes of my life, and I didn't even get first place.
Yeah,
so
that's how I feel.
That's Fortnite.
Not a big battle royale.
So I don't play those battle royale games. I don't even play Nuclear Winter for Fallout. It's just not me. I played it once. I think I made it, actually, no. I played 2 rounds of Nuclear Winter. I was like, nope, not for me. Like, I'm not doing this because it's challenging. It really is. I think when I first started playing, I was playing against some guy that was super high ranked, and he just came out of nowhere and knocked me down. I'm like, okay, nope, I'm just going to go back to playing Fallout. But so I definitely just enjoyed the multiplayer version of Call of Duty. Since Battlefield 6 did not release this year, and hopefully it releases in 2021, or whatever latest Battlefield they're going to call it, I decided to get the Modern Warfare, and it was really, really good. And it reminded me of playing Modern Warfare 2. And I haven't played. I kind of checked out from the whole Call of Duty scene since like Modern Warfare 3 or Black Ops. I can never remember which one of those. And that was really the last time where I was like, yeah, okay, Call of Duty's fun until Modern Warfare. So I picked that one up, and the campaign itself was actually pretty damn good. It was. It was really good.
Yeah, especially the ones that stood out to me specifically were the night vision ones, where you would go in, and the one, I think it's in London actually, where you go into like the apartment complex with the SWAT or with the team. Yep. Super tight quarters, and yeah, it's by far for me my favorite level in the entire campaign. But as on the multiplayer side, I try Warzone. Not really my bag, but really what I loved in what is this game called? Modern Warfare was the 2v2 mode.
Oh, gunfight.
Yeah, man.
Oh, that
Gunfight
is
was
so
so
fun.
fun.
Yeah,
It's just really small maps, and I mean, like we said, it's 2v2, super fast rounds. You're in and you're out.
it
Tons
honestly,
of fun.
when it came to gunfight reminds me of when I used to play airsoft as a kid, and when I played I played paintball. I played paintball. And
Oh yeah, me too.
and paintball was expensive, so I didn't play it as much as I did with airsoft. But those small little maps where there's just structures everywhere, or there's just like concrete tubing you have to run through, or walls blocking everything out.
Yeah.
There's small maps. That's what it reminded me of, like me
Yeah.
playing
I see
airsoft in
that.
the backyards. You have small little structures, and it's a small little battlefield type of thing. You got your small little map.
hit.
And, you're like, oh, I'm hit, I'm out. Like, yeah, that's what it honestly reminded me of. And gun game is fun. It is challenging, especially when you play with people that know how to play gun game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Call of Duty was my second. So I had Fallout as my number one, Call of Duty as my number two, and then Assassin's Creed this year as my number three for my top played games. And they're phenomenal. Chris, what about yourself, man? Like, what have you been gaming?
So this year I played some older games, nothing that came out here recently. At least I don't think they did. So probably the game that stuck out to me the most that I dove really really hard into was Far Cry 5. We talked about that many weeks ago. About Far Cry 5, how it's the game where cults have taken over Montana, and you kind of go in to straighten things out. I played that with a good friend, and we kind of did a role play of it, kind of like taking it seriously and thinking about it like with some strategy. That game was a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun playing that game. We got a lot of hours of gameplay out of that game too. Just doing side quests. Like I usually don't dive too hard into side quests, but like even the side quests were fun in that game. He would be more of like a run and gun kind of style, and I would hang back and do like sniper and sneaky stuff. So like we would play off each other's skills, figure out what was best. So we had a lot of fun playing that game. Kind of in that same vein, Sniper Elite 4. I got that game. That takes place during, I think, World War One. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it's World War One. And you play as what's that?
Was Hitler there?
Sniper what?
Elite 4. But you play as a sniper. You can play the game a couple different ways, but it's kind of like Rainbow Six Siege's Terrorist Hunt, except it's a really big map. So like there's structures, there's towns, like there's one level that's like in like it's almost kind of like Venice. Like you're in like really tight streets doing firefights. Then they'll have big open maps where you can take shots that are like almost 2 miles away. And this, of course, is different guns and scopes. You have to worry about windage and bullet drop, and like it's really detailed. And when I usually play games where I can build a character, I usually go for sniper builds. So that was just a really fun game. Just trying to figure out how you can strategically go in, take out the forces without other forces being alarmed, trying to stay stealth the whole time. Like that was a fun game.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Yeah, so it's based in Italy in 1943, so World War II. And I do remember playing a couple of the sniper ones, and it's just kind of like Mortal Kombat, when you get those special kills and it does all the slow motion kills, and you see them breaking the bones. Like that's the one thing I did enjoy. I didn't play too much about it because it was extremely challenging, and I just seemed to just completely fuck up every single time. I'd get one kill, and it'd be like a stealth kill, and the next thing I know, my second kill was just not timed right, and then you'd be screwed. But no, that 3D, just like as you see that round, and you just you watch the skull break apart, and it just goes straight to the head. You're like, yeah, nailed it.
There's extreme satisfaction from getting the windage and everything right the first time, and you're sitting there, you fire the bullet, a couple seconds go by, and then it shows that kill cam. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
That was
So is this like a sniper simulator type game? Is that? Because it sounds like it's like super in detail.
It is in detail, but I mean it's not a simulator. It's like a regular video game. It's an adventure game, but like the rifles, and like I said, you have to worry about bullet drop and windage. Depending on which difficulty you're playing on, you have to worry about those things. Like if you play on the easier difficulty, you don't have to worry about windage, but you still have to worry about bullet drop. So
yeah,
it is detailed, but I mean, you can pick up a pistol and just go hog on the map and just go shoot Nazis in the face with a Luger.
All right, now I'm in. Okay.
Yeah. No, it is a fun game.
But
yeah.
you can approach it any way you want to. But yeah, sniping is really where the focus is on the game, which is it's fun.
Hence the title.
Yeah,
and it's those 3D X-ray kills that you get in that game. That like, oh, you shot him right through the heart, and so you just see, the body goes to an X-ray image, and you watch that bullet just go straight through his back, through his heart, and the blood and bones breaking everything, and just goes everywhere. Combat, yeah. It's all like slow motion, so you're just like, yeah.
So that was that. Those were probably my two regular games. Of course, I'm gonna have to say one of the games I played a ton of was Minecraft.
Woo!
Just like a lot of people at the beginning of this year, COVID hit my company that I work for pretty hard, and we all got retasked, and I was actually working from home a good bit with a position that I really didn't care for. So I spent a good amount of time waiting for things to do playing Minecraft. I started a new map. I built up an entire castle, an entire town, all on survival, just while I was working doing that. So that's my little COVID town that I built
working
up. So
with quotation marks. So,
yeah, working. So yeah, it was a lot of hard work, and I guess it was kind of just a testament to just like the patience during COVID when it first got started and everybody was quarantined and we were all really uncertain. So, I built a Minecraft town to make it less stressful. But I put a lot of hours in there, of course, so that's got to be up there on my list. Ricky?
Cool. Okay, so yeah, I played a number of video games this year.
Halo.
But surprise, I played a ton of Halo this year.
Oof,
so
didn't see it.
It was
didn't
kind
see
of
that one coming.
Yeah. What? So yeah, actually, in the very beginning of this year, I had some pretty cool events happen in Halo 5 specifically. So, and I guess as of right now, like people are kind of playing the MCC, which I've mentioned before, in Halo 5. So, but earlier this year, I actually reached max rank in Halo 5. I know. But yeah, Spartan rank 152.
Okay, that's a different one. Quick question, which you might talk about it, and hopefully it doesn't spoil. Did you reach that rank 25 that you were trying to reach?
No.
A few weeks ago or whatever it was.
No, I've put the cooler on that for now. They're supposed. I'm super frustrated with that playlist right now. That's a whole another story.
So I don't need to break out the applause track.
Not quite yet.
Okay.
But applause for you at least reaching max rank on.
Yeah. Long story short, the playlist kind of sucks. I wasn't having fun with it, and Ni no Kuni was super fun. So I didn't play a lot of Halo this past week. I reached max rank in Halo 5, Spartan rank 152, which literally took me like 5 years to do. It is a grind and a half and then some to get there. That's like pretty much anybody that's playing Halo 5 these days. Like that's pretty much their sole goal. And the reason for that is for Halo Infinite. When that finally drops, which I was hoping to be playing at like right now, but it's going to be next fall. But basically, you get like exclusive rewards in game, like a armor coating and like weapon skin, stuff like that you can only get if you get max rank in Halo 5. So
now, is that at any time, or is that like is there a time limit on it? Because Halo 5's been out for a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah, Halo 5 came out in 2015.
Yeah,
so it's been a little while. That's a good question. It could be after the fact, but I guess pretty much just the goal as of right now is to get it done before Infinite comes out. So there's not this brand new shiny toy and you're still playing with, like Buzz Lightyear's not here and you're still playing with Woody, but you're only playing with Woody because you want to play with Buzz Lightyear. So you with me? You follow? All right. So, but yeah, that's what everybody's trying to do right now. I got that done in January of this year. I also played in a Halo 5 tournament early this year. Our team won first series 3-0. only to be promptly destroyed right after that. But just the fact that I was able to play in a tournament was super fun. And I actually reached champion rank as well, which is the highest as far as skill-based ranking goes. That's the highest you can get in Halo 5 as well. So I did that. So I was pretty proud of that. I played Minecraft Dungeons. We were talking about Minecraft. Played that for a bit. That was fun for like a week.
Ricky
playing
Minecraft.
Moving along.
Minecraft Dungeons.
So then I played
is
Doom
not
Eternal.
Minecraft though. It is
What's that?
not Minecraft. That is something
it's
completely.
It's like
different.
Diablo Jr. with a Minecraft skin.
Yeah.
So like it was fun for like a week. I played Doom Eternal. Super fun game. I loved the Doom 2016 game, and this one was everything that one was. And then some. They added some platformer stuff in here, which was interesting. They attempted to kind of flesh out the Doom universe, like demons versus angels and whatnot, but it kind of fell flat for me, honestly. Reason being is all that stuff was like in like text-based like runes that you would find, and it's just like, okay, I'm not reading this. This is dumb. But the gameplay was super fun. Had a super fun time with Doom Eternal. I also played a game called Super Lucky's Tale, and this was kind of like a love story to all of the platforming games from the 90s and the early 2000s. So we're talking stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. It's like all those games like meshed into one. I love the art style. Gameplay was super fun. I actually 100% of that game as far as like collectibles and stuff you can get in there. As far as I remember, I know I went out of my way to collect pretty much everything. But as far as I recall, I got 100% of that game.
I mean, I hate to call myself a nerd and not be familiar with that, but when you say that it brings all these games together, can you play as different characters type of thing? Like you can play as Spyro type of thing, or it brings like all the worlds together? Like, what do you mean by it brings all this stuff together?
Okay, so from a presentation standpoint, like as far as the art style goes, you play as this little kind of cutesy little fox character named Lucky, and he had something or other happens where like a magical wizard comes and destroys everybody's happy-go-lucky world. But it's all takes place in like a magical book, and you have to gather these magical pages for the book, and that's really the main premise of the game. So kind of like in like Mario 64, where you're trying to gather the stars, or Banjo-Kazooie, where you're trying to get the jiggies or the puzzle pieces. So that's one thing. Gameplay wise, it's very fluid. It's surprisingly well, I guess fluid is the word. Like he has a move where like you can do like double jumps, and he has a move where he'll jump and like spiral into the ground, and then like you basically are like surfing under the ground, but it's super fast. You can pop up out of the ground, do a double jump, then do the barrel roll back down into the ground. But it's also used for like he has like spinning attacks, kind of like Crash Bandicoot. There's like hub worlds, and then you go into levels that are in the hub world, and then you unlock everything in there.
Just like all those games you mentioned.
Just like all the games I mentioned. It's
okay,
like
so it takes similar, it takes other games, and certain aspects of other games. It kind of mixes it into this game. So
yeah,
it's got like a Spyro feel. It's got a Crash Bandicoot feel. It's got
you can
all these different types of feels, and
there's different depending on like what levels you go into. Some of them are like different genres. So there's a couple that are like side scrollers in a way. So of course you definitely get some Mario vibes there. But yeah, like I said, it's you can totally feel all the different influences from all those games. But those are for sure the main four that I picked up on, was Spyro, Crash, Mario, and Banjo, which I pretty much love all those games. So that was awesome.
So did you get the same like nostalgic like feel we used to get when we played Crash Bandicoot or whatever for the first time?
Absolutely, yeah. I had such a blast with this game. The only reason that I saw it or that I played it was because it came up on Game Pass. But apparently this is actually a not quite like a remake and not quite a remaster. I guess it's more of a remaster. But apparently there was just a Lucky's Tale that came out before, or there was a Super Lucky's Tale rather, and this is new Super Lucky's Tale. So If you play it, be sure to play New Super Lucky's Tale.
Got it.
But apparently there was like issues with the cameras, and they reworked the story and the artwork and whatnot. Basically, like I guess you could say a director's cut.
Do you know what studio it's by? Is it like indie or?
No, I don't. I could look it up, but I don't recall off the top of my head.
It'd be interesting to see if it's Microsoft, because Microsoft now owns Rare.
I'm
pretty a lot of those really
Switch,
good games were by Rare.
No, it's not Rare. It feels like it's from Rare, but it's not. Let's see. Let me look it up real quick. New Super Lucky's Tale.
Bethesda.
Right. Or Playful Studios. So, but yeah, New Super Lucky's Tale. Super fun game. If you want just like a chill, kind of laid back collectathon, really. So I played Samurai Jack, Battle Through Time. I mentioned earlier Primal, Samurai Jack, some of my favorite shows. They haven't done anything with Samurai Jack in years, almost a decade, or even longer since a video game. I think the last time they did a video game with him was like PS2, GameCube era, and it sucked.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, it was awful. This one was pretty much felt like it came out of that same era. Like it felt like I was playing like a PS2 or GameCube game, but with just like better graphics. It was really fun. Well, it's not the best game I've ever played, but it was also really short. But it was just really cool to like. I'm playing Samurai Jack in 2020. Like, this is awesome. So that one was fun. I played the Splinter Cell trilogy. I had never beaten any of those games, so I played the original Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, and Chaos Theory. Fantastic games. Had a ton of fun streaming those. And the big one that stood out to me was Last of Us Part 2. So this is a super divisive game. I know a lot of people, either they loved it or they hated it. I can see both sides of it. I'm on the side of I liked it a lot. Definitely had some gripes with it. Fantastic gameplay. The story, for the most part, I really enjoyed. I can 100% see why people were upset with it. But like, I honestly, like, when I beat this game, I broke out in tears. And that has never happened to me before in a video game. Like, I was boo-hoo crying. So it's a really...
I'm not sure
really
that you want
game.
to admit that to all our listeners. Or
Like I said, hey, that's a
anybody.
compliment to the story right there.
Yeah, it's a good story,
That is
but you cried over a video game.
Yeah, have you not ever tried a video game? No, but seriously though, like I had never experienced like emotion like that in a video game, and the way that the game challenges you to feel that, like I feel like if that was not your response to the end of the game, I fully believe that you didn't get it. You didn't understand what they were trying to say, or you understood what they were trying to say, but you didn't want to admit that
you're so
you had those feelings.
you're so calloused. You're just so heartless.
Yeah.
And
the game
emotions.
challenges you to open up and feel that, because the whole premise of the story, and I won't get into any spoilers or anything, but the whole premise of the story is the cycle of violence and revenge. And it's like, when is it enough? Like, what is it going to take to stop? Because it's just a never ending cycle. Even though in every bone of your body, like, you want this thing to happen, but you have to realize that this isn't what you're coming out for revenge for. This isn't what should happen.
I played part 1 and I hated it. I finished it and I hated it.
See, I loved it, though.
So a very
I
psychological game, then.
Yes, but it is also one of the best video game, like as far as graphics wise, one of the best looking video games I've ever played, and some fantastic gameplay and set pieces, along with a very unique and challenging story that
still written by Naughty Dog.
Forget. Yeah, it's written by Naughty Dog. Neil Druckmann was the main writer, which is I believe he did the first one as well. But so those are my games of 2020. So, what do you fellas say we talk about some music? So
music, lifeblood of everything.
I do actually, before we get into that, I do want to say for our listeners, if you have made it this far, thank you very much. We would appreciate it if you gave us some of your input. What were your favorite games or movies that you experienced in 2020? Hit us up on Twitter at Pixelated Porch, and you can pretty much find us everywhere by that. So, but yeah,
we want to know what you guys think. Give us your feedback on how your 2020 was and what your favorite media interests were this year.
Follow us on Twitter. Share us with your friends. We'd love to hear you guys' feedback. So we're having fun with the podcast and hope you guys are having fun listening. All right. So with that out of the way, let's talk about some music. So at the beginning of the show, we mentioned we were going to be sharing our top 3 Spotify songs from 2020. So as you guys know, every year Spotify does a recap of sorts of music that you listen to throughout the year, and we'll actually make a playlist for you. So we thought it'd be cool to each share our top 3 with you guys and see how we compare. So we'll actually go around. Each of us will share our number 3, then we'll do our number 2, and then our number 1. All right. So Chris, you want to start us off?
So my number 3 for the year was a little song by a little band. Band is known as the Gorillaz. Song is called Désolé. This song is not only extremely catchy, it is by one of my favorite bands of all time. I love the Gorillaz. This song right here brought me back to the glory days of their first album that I really got hooked on, which was Demon Days. Great song, great vibe to it. Fantastic. Love it. How about you, Mike? Number 3.
Number 3 for me is a band called Judah and the Lion. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that band. They're an alternative band. Well, they're alternative. They're like bluegrass, folk. I mean, literally, each album has been something completely different from what they originally started as. They started as kind of like that, like Christian folk band, and then it turned into just folk, and then they turned into alternative. So like they definitely have mixed up their music, and they're absolutely right. And I absolutely love them. If you guys don't know them, listen to June Lion. But it's a song called "Beautiful Anyway." No, I absolutely love that song. I mean, for me, music is a big thing for at least for my life. It deals a lot with what you feed yourself is what you focus on. It just so it's a song called "Beautiful Anyway" by Judah and the Lion. Ricky, what about yourself?
So my number 3, and I'm kind of surprised by my top 3, because normally I kind of had the same bands there every year, but this year was completely different. So my number 3 is a song called "Green Gusher" by Rez.
Yes.
So this is actually, how do I even describe Rez? It's, I guess, kind of like if like Rob Zombie made like electronic dance music. Like this is kind of the closest
if
thing
Rob
that you would
Zombie
get to it.
and Glitch Mob got together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glitch Mob's got such a cool beat to it. And I've had that song on repeat all throughout the year. And I was actually turned on by Rez by one of my old Halo streamer friends. She recommended a whole bunch of songs to me, and yeah, I've been hooked ever since. So yeah, Green Gusher by Rez, number 3 for me. What about your number 2, Chris?
So my number 2 was a song that Ricky actually showed me. I have to preface this song with that this is a metal song, which made up a lot of my younger years of listening to metal. It's kind of weird that I have Gorillaz and metal right next together, but this song is called Holy Roller. Why am I drawing a blank on this? Spirit Box. This song was on repeat constantly after he showed me this. I would say probably half of my listens were on Spotify. The other half are watching the music video on YouTube. The music video for this song is absolutely amazing. I've said it before. I will keep saying it. I absolutely love editing and the great things that we can do with film and audio. The shots in this music video were fantastic. There's a demonic side of this girl and a normal side, and the two intertwining together, shot on like an old VHS style. It's amazing. But it is metal. If you're into that, it is definitely worth a listen. I got hooked really, really hard on that song.
Yeah. So, well, actually, you can actually thank Amanda for that song. She's the one that actually showed it to me, and she
Really?
was like, "Chris would love this song."
Dude, that song. I'm surprised it's not my number one. I think
Yeah,
I think I listened to it for a solid week. I would put something else on and be like, nope, I'm just gonna keep listening to Holy Roller.
yeah, yeah. It's a fantastic song. Yeah,
And
I was hooked just like you, man.
and if you do like metal, I was also surprised to find out that is a female vocalist who is doing that, which is also I think the girl from the music video. But
Yeah,
female
it is.
vocalist doing hitting audio like that, I was thoroughly impressed.
Sounds like I'm gonna have to take a listen to that song because it
Watch-
sounds familiar, but I'm not sure if I've actually
Watch the
heard it
video.
yet.
Mike, you'll love the video. It's very midsummery. You'll love it.
Oh, great. Perfect. I'm just gonna write that off as no.
What about your number two, Mike?
My number 2 is from the band called The Dangerous Summer. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. One of my good friends
say I
who
have.
is now unfortunately passed away. He introduced me to that band back in 2000 and I think 2012. That was like his number one band that he listened to, and it got me hooked. Unfortunately, the lead singer, he went to jail or prison or something like that. Did something he shouldn't have. I think it was just like robbery or some shit. But he got out of jail, did his time, all that fun stuff, and dropped a new album. And so my number 2 is The Dangerous Summer. Where Were You When the Sky Opened Up? And they are a alternative rock band, kind of emo. Pop punk, they kind of mix it back and forth, but the lyrics yet again is what gets me, and especially the well, I mean, I just love music. I'm a huge music person. I listen to everything. I joke to people all the time, but I've got everything from VeggieTales on my iPod, all the way to if I'm gonna
You would.
screw this up. Yep, I know, right? That does not mean I listen to VeggieTales.
Mm-hmm.
All right, like, oh yeah, Larry the Cucumber, woohoo, But I have it on my iPod for some reason. All the way to Demir Borg or whatever. It's a Russian.
Demir Borgir. Yeah.
Yeah, the Russian metal band. So like I've got everything in between, and I listen to everything. I really do. But yeah, The Dangerous Summer and Where Were You When the Sky Opened Up as my number 2.
Yeah, I can feel you on the VeggieTales. It didn't quite make my top 3, but definitely in my top 10 was "Son of Man" by Phil Collins from the Tarzan soundtrack. Such a good song. So my number 2 is a song called "Mama Said" by Pussifer. So this is actually another song that Amanda turned me on to.
That name, though, I'm sorry. That name is just...
I think that's how you pronounce it.
It's like when
Pussifer?
someone says, like, weenus or something, or like... it's just...
Yeah, or like shiitake mushrooms. Yeah. So this is actually, I'm kind of surprised like metal has not dominated my top 5 or top 3 in this case. So this is more of an acoustic kind of chill vibe kind of song. It's got a really cool drum beat to it. I love the guitar and the vocals. He's got a really, really deep vocal pattern in the song that I've not really heard before. And it just, all that kind of combined together, I was like, man, this is one hell of a song. It's got a cool kind of message to it as well. Like I said, the song's called "Mama Said," and it's basically like, you got your heart broke, but you got to get back up and keep at it. Basically like a conversation between him and his mom. So it's kind of a cool story as well. But yeah, kick-ass song. I like it a lot. "Mama Said," Pussifer, my number 2. All right, Chris, your number 1.
Number 1.
If you didn't do it, I was going to. So my number 1 song, I found it early this year, and I've almost burnt myself out on it. I listened to it so much that I don't know, like I wouldn't listen to it right now, but I think I will in the future. So this is by a little band called Inter Shikari, which is a British, I guess you could call them a British electro punk band. They're really strange, but the song is called Dreamers Hotel. And the reason I like Dreamers Hotel, yeah, it's really catchy as far as the way it sounds and everything, but the message behind Dreamers Hotel is very, very nice. It's basically saying, we could all relax and go to a great place and be happy, but instead people would rather be rioting and getting upset about things. And I think that part of it, especially with everything that's happened this year, not just COVID, I feel like that song really defined 2020 in a really good way. I don't know if Enter Shikari intended it to be that way, but just, the lyrics and everything, the way the song sounds, it goes from like a really harsh kind of tone to more of like a chilled, with a really good melody kind of tone. So really like that song. It stuck in my brain this year. So Enter Shikari, Dreamers Hotel was my number one. All right, Michael, your number one.
My number one was this band is probably one of my close to all time favorites, but it's called The Classic Crime.
Oh,
have you guys heard of that band before?
Mm-hmm.
I have not.
Absolutely love that band. And one thing I actually didn't know was the lead singer actually has a band called The Vocal Few with I believe his wife. And the one thing I love, yet again, with The Classic Crime is the lyrics. How do you say lyricist, I think is what it's called. But anyway, oh my goodness, I just love the lyrics of this song. It's The Classic Crime, and it's the summer of '92. Off of their latest album that they just dropped this year. And I absolutely love it because it's a song basically talking about memories. And how things were and how things got to be how they are now type of thing. And I always, usually depending on my mood, enjoy listening to songs like that because it always reminds me of not only the past but also the present, And, one of my, quotes I liked from The Office was, wouldn't it be nice to know that the good old days are basically now. I completely butchered that, quote from The Office for those Office fans like myself. But, Andy, he's talking about, wouldn't it just be nice to know that you're in the good old days before they've passed, to realize that, when you're looking back at things and you're looking back at your year, say 2020, and you're like, man, I really enjoyed that. Or when you think about high school, that last time you saw everybody, you didn't know that was going to be the last time you saw those people or you guys were all going to be together, but you enjoyed that moment for what it was. And then, like 10 years later, you didn't, you look back at it and like, that was the last time we all hung out. That was the last time I saw this individual. And so like with this song, it just really makes me, remember, a lot of my friends and a lot of my, family that I haven't seen in years. And those memories that I had in high school, and I didn't go to college except for the Air Force College, but, or it even makes me think about the memories of my military days, and I think that's why, honestly, that's my number one song, the summer of '92 by The Classic Crime, because it is mainly talking, and it makes me remember about all these good times that I had, and to remember to cherish the present, because I will eventually, be quote unquote in the future, looking back at where I am right now, remembering like, man, that was a good time that I had. I really missed that, something I want to cherish. So yeah, so this song I listened to probably, I don't know how many times. I don't even want to know. I don't have Spotify. I use Apple Music. I used to use Spotify. But I don't even want to know the song count on this one because I know Apple does that, but I know it's pretty high.
Yeah.
Ricky, what about yourself?
All right. So for my number one, it is The Offering by Sleep Token. So this is actually, you could say, is a metal song. It's definitely on the heavier side, but it's also on the very vocally harmonic and some of the like fattest, heaviest guitar tones I have ever heard in a song. It starts off with just like some synth work, and then all of a sudden you hear just a drum fill, and then the guitar comes in, and it just will basically blow the skin off your skeleton.
There we go.
Listen
that's
now.
The feeling, that's the feeling that I want.
But
right
you get
there.
this like just heavy ass guitar, and then it goes right back into being super chill, super melodic, and it's just that the whole like roller coaster that they take you on there. It's such a peaceful, yet hellish sounding song. And I don't know. I guess this year I've found myself moving more towards like metal or like gent that has more clean vocals rather than the harsh screaming vocals, which is something I've definitely been into in the past. And even I remember in the past, like even if there was just a hint of clean vocals, I'd be like, nope, skip it, next. This song sucks. So, you know, you have that. I mean, there are some screams in this song, but it's definitely the melodic, clean vocals that really caught my attention. He's got some vocal paths that he does. I was like, damn, dude, you got some pipes. That's pretty impressive, actually. And then the outro breakdown to this song is, holy damn, it is so good. Definitely just some open chord, like djenty kind of vibes to it, and it just basically plays the same thing, and then it fades out. But some of the coolest drum fills in there, just a super fun, heavy, melodic, chill song. It's got everything right there, all wrapped up in a bow for you, or wrapped up with a bow for you.
Did you send me that one?
I think I did, yeah.
And
I have to say, I think Chris, a number of years back, you got me. I think you were the one who got me into Demon Hunter.
Demon Hunter, yes, love
Yes.
Demon Hunter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say, you know, Ricky, when you mentioned that, at first I was not a fan of hard metal, or hard or like, you know, your screamo type of songs, because I was like, there's no talent in that. You know, you can just scream into a mic and be like, you know, and whatever you want to do. And I thought there was like no talent in that. And then I started listening. I know Demon Hunter is not like super hardcore, edgy, you know, like, you know, compared to a lot of others. But, you know, that was one of the very first, you know, I guess
The
you could
gateway
quote.
drug to metal.
Exactly, yeah.
The Linkin Park to metal.
Yeah, and I realized, there is talent in that, and especially, you might have to look up the lyrics to the song, or eventually get so used to that type of music that you can actually understand what they're saying. But especially when you look up the lyrics to those songs, there are a lot of deep meanings and really good lyrics to those songs, even though they're doing that. But then also just being able to have the vocalist be able to maintain that yell, scream, pitch, you know, whatever.
It's definitely a lot of work.
It's quite the feat. You know, it really is, to be able to, you know, also change it too throughout the song, like you were just saying, Ricky, with your number one, is to be able to hit, you know, multiple levels. And maintain that. You know, it's just the one thing that, you know, took me a while to actually appreciate when it came towards.
I think that's one thing
metal.
That as I got older, because I mean, when I was a teenager, I listened to a lot of metal. That's really all I listened to, was like metal. And like as I got older, I started listening to the talents, and especially like the lyrics. If something's got good lyrics, I don't care what genre it is, I'll listen to it. So if I can appreciate the story that somebody's telling me, and like we talked about multiple times, and Ricky, you talked about it with Primal, like just the music can put you in a mood. It can staple a memory in your brain. A certain song sticks to a certain time period in your life. So if something's got good lyrics and it's got good feel to it, I'll listen to anything. Yeah, don't limit yourself to one genre just because, you know, it's rap, it's screamo, it's whatever. Listen to the song for what the song is, and you'll grow your horizons.
Oh yeah, 100% agree with that.
All right, so that was our movies, TV shows, games, and music that stood out to us most for 2020. So let's kind of jump outside the realm of media for a bit, and I guess kind of talk about some life achievements or some life changes that happened this year in 2020. Like we were saying, like there's a lot of bad this year, but there was also some good. So let's talk about that before we wrap up the show here, gentlemen. So Chris, I'll hand it off to you, sir.
As I have mentioned in a couple episodes, probably the most momentous thing to happen to me this year is I actually got married. Something I never thought I would do.
Insert round of applause.
Yeah. Wedding bells, whatever. Yeah, put all those in here. Edit note. Got married to a fantastic lady. I never thought I would be so lucky to be married to somebody who I can really call my best friend. We fell in love, and it was just something I never expected, especially at the point in my life when we met. I would never have expected something like that. So that was a big deal. Of course, all of my good friends, which I consider my family, my two brothers on this podcast, were there for it, which was absolutely monumental. I wouldn't have had it any other way. Of course, not only did we get married, we bought property, which is a big adult life decision, and we're building a home there. So, I mean, I did a lot of adulting this year, did a lot of things that I never thought I would do. 2020 has been absolutely, as I said, monumental. It's a big year that sticks out in my history. What about you, Mike?
Well, for me, 2020 has actually been a pretty good year. My wife and I bought a home in, North Carolina where we reside. So that was a big giant step for us, was buying a home. And not only that, just figuring out where we actually wanted to live and spend our life together. So we bought a home in North Carolina, and we absolutely love it, and just making this home more our home. And the other big thing for 2020 was I started my first civilian job outside of the Air Force. Since I had separated. So that was another big giant leap for me, was to start a job that I absolutely love. And I spent a lot of time traveling and being on the road, but yeah, it was, those are two big things that made 2020 absolutely wonderful. And it's always, a big thing for me is, no matter what's going on in the world around you, always look for the positive. And this is what has definitely made 2020 amazing. Ricky, what about yourself?
Yes, sir. So nothing as momentous as buying a house or getting married, but just a couple of things that I was kind of proud of that I did this year is I did a cover of a song on the drums with a good friend of mine that I play Halo with. I did a cover of a classic Halo song from Halo 2 called Blow Me Away by Breaking Benjamin. Classic song. I don't know. I love music. I love playing drums. I love videos and things of that nature. And of course, I love Halo. So to be able to kind of bring all that together and kind of pay tribute to really kind of an iconic song within I guess the Halo community was really cool. I did some backup vocals for it as well. So yeah, I was pretty proud of that. But then I also actually got a new job myself, actually just about a month ago now, or just over a month ago. I've hit the ground running with it. I feel like I'm already a really big contributing factor to the team there. And I don't know, I can see myself being there for quite a while. So I wasn't exactly happy with my last job, wasn't married to doing that for the rest of my life. I always think there's a scene from Star Wars Episode 7 where Rey is cleaning some machinery, some junk that she got out of the desert, and then she looks up and she sees this old decrepit woman doing the exact same thing. It's like, damn, that's gonna be me in 80 years doing this same shit. So I don't know. I can see myself definitely retiring happy from where I'm at now. Pretty good setup. So proud of that. So that will do it for the final episode of the Pixelated Porch Podcast for 2020. Thank you all for listening. We hope you have a great 2021, and we'll see you next time, and hope you have a happy new year. This has been the Pixelated Porch Podcast. We're the friendly nerds, Ricky, Chris, and Mike. You can listen to us on all major podcast platforms. If you'd like to follow us on social media, check us out at Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search Pixelated Porch, and also be sure to check out our Discord.
Gonna play some old Tenenbaum here at the end, which I would be saying the lyrics to, but of course nobody knows the damn lyrics.
No clue what you're talking about.
Nope.
That song. No. Fuck it. fucking nobody knows the lyrics to that song.
No.